Hello. Do I need to use the mic or can just use this? Can you hear? I'm a bit confused. Okay. Thank you. Hola. Bom dia a todos. But this talk won't be in Portuguese. It will be in English. So I'm going to talk about modern web debugging today and share you with a few tips from DevTools as well. So this is the first tip I'm going to share with you today. The whole slide is actually a real browser that I screenshot. You see that the console, you can do some fancy things here. So this is exactly the code. You can have some CSS style, assign it to a variable, and when you console.log, you can just put a %C, which means that you take the style, the variable, the style, and then apply it to it. Then you can have this effect. So if you want to have some fancy console message, you can do this. I feel like some company use this to, like, when you open it, we are hiring, please come to us. Yeah, so this is one of the tips I'm going to share. Okay, so as mentioned just now, my name is Jecelyn. Some of you may feel that maybe my face is a little bit familiar to you. So if you do not cross out the what's new tab in DevTools, if you click on one of the link and you open it, you probably will see some of the videos and my articles talking about what are the new things in DevTools. But I know a lot of you, and even myself as well, sometimes when they're debugging, they're just cross out, don't block me, and then just go ahead and do your stuff. Okay, so yeah, next time if you want to learn some new DevTools stuff, you can click on one of the links and then you get some nice video and articles there when you have time. Okay, so what do we mean by debugging the modern web? Let me show you the old web and the old browser first. So this is the DevTools in 2009, 15 years ago. So at that time, not so bad. The look is still quite good, but there's only 4 tabs within DevTools. Can you guess? Okay, this guess, I can give you a sticker. Can you guess how many DevTools panel now in current days? Okay, let's do a rough guess first. Anyone say 10 to 20? Okay, more. 20 to 30. More? You want one more? Okay, 30 to 40. Okay, hold your hand. So, how many do you get? 35. Okay, this is close enough. Let me give you this. Thank you. Okay, so the actual number is around 32 tabs that we have within DevTools. So this is the DevTools lockdown. So where are the 32 tabs hide? The panel, where did it hide? So from the top you can see like there's only like 5 of them. So the rest hide under the 3-dot menu, which is here. When you click on it, there is this more tools, and then there's a list more on that. So, but how many do you use daily? Like, okay, I also want to know, how many of you use more than 5 weekly? More than 5. Okay, so less than 5? Okay, so the number is quite big. More than 10? Anyone use more than 10 in a week? Yeah, no, yeah. So those are the tools that when you need it, some of the tools are quite niche. Is when you need it to debug a certain thing, then you will go and look for it. But if it's not, then you just ignore them. That's why we hide that in our more tools. Okay, so within these 15 years, what has changed in the browsers? So the browser mostly still understands only HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Probably you learn a new language called WASM, but mostly you don't need understand like these 3 main languages and there's one more. But the way you write your web application so different now, so fancy. You use different language because JavaScript is not enough. You use TypeScript, CSS, no, we use SASS or we use other preprocessor language, and we use some other like JSX and Park as well. And framework, we look framework. Someone that every other month or every other week we have a new framework. So you use Angular, React, Vue, Svelte, and all of them come with different flavor of the syntax. You have .vue file, you have .jsx file, and framework is not enough. You need meta framework as well because we need to put everything in place. So we have Next.js, and Nux.js as well. So the way you write JavaScript, your web application is so different now. But the browser doesn't understand all of these custom languages that you write. So what do we need now? We need additional build tools in between, like read, webpack, and go up to take all your input, all your other language, transpile it into a format and optimize it into the format that the browser can understand. That's how your code gets run in the browser. Then the next question is, how about debugging? So imagine that you have a minified JavaScript. If the browser doesn't do anything, when you debug your stuff in the browser, you will see like all the minified thing. That's probably not what you write. And then, but how can the browsers improve the experience to help you debug the web better in the way that you write your code? And debugging is really important. I only have one cat meme in the whole presentation. Okay, it's very important because this is what we code for 6 minutes, and then we need to debug for probably almost 6 hours. This is like a real life experience I had before. Okay, let's take a look at this example applications. We have a simple counter component. We can click minus and click plus to plus the number. So when I click on the plus icon, let's say there's an error. So from here, what you can see is that DevTools shows you this line. It says that something for not found, and it shows you the debug component.ts file. The error is in line number 27. So when you click on that, you can jump to here, set a breakpoint here, and then do the same action again to debug it, and DevTools will stop at the code, the TypeScript file that you wrote. But then, now this is the question. Oh, just now, like, Jecelyn said that the browsers only understand JavaScript. But now what I'm debugging is TypeScript. It's not supposed to understand TypeScript in this case. So how does the browser know that and show you the TypeScript file to let you debug the web? Okay, so I did not lie. So really the browser only understands JavaScript. So on the right corner here, you can see that it says that this TypeScript file is something that source mapped from main.js. So there's a way from the browser to map back the minified JavaScript file that you have to the TypeScript file, so that when you set it, we sort of like matching it back to help you debug your code slightly easier. Okay, so what happened is in your build tools, when they generate out the JavaScript and CSS file, it also generates a file called source map. So this is a magic file. Okay, so this is an example of a source map file. So the name is like main.js.map, so it's always end with .map. And then is that there are different fields. So let's look at this. So the first is just a pure JSON you can see. So one of the fields is mentioned that, oh, this is the source map file for the main.js file. And then the second thing is that because like a minified JavaScript file can be a result of like multiple TypeScript file or more sources. So here in the sources array, it lists out all the source files that contribute to this minified JavaScript file. So it mentions the source, and then here it put the source content. That's basically the code that you wrote. It will just minify, make it like a long string, and then put it here. And the magic happens in the mapping field. So in the mapping field, you can see that A, B, A, there's others. So if I start with it, so what does it mean? So basically, it is like Morse code. It's like a longitude and latitude that you point to, that point you to a certain locations. So in this case, the mapping is encoded with base 64 VLQ string. But what it did is that it tells that, okay, so line number 1, column number 20 in this main.js JavaScript file is mapped to line number 24, column number 10 in the TypeScript file. So like each of these numbers do the mapping like that. So DevTools take this information, take this file, read this information, and construct back the TypeScript file, And then when you put a breakpoint, we know exactly like where should we put the breakpoint because we get this information on which line mapped to which column. So that's how we know that. So it's like line number 37 has an error. So, but source map is a big topic. If you want to learn more about source map, I have a video to talk about it and an articles as well. There's a joke that I put in this slide. So you know tomato sauce and that's map. So that's source map, but with A, yeah, okay. Okay, thanks for tuning in. Okay, so next I want to share with you some of the improvement in DevTools that will help you to pinpoint issues slightly quicker. Okay, so before that, probably a lot of us have this before. When you get the error, the first thing that you see is probably not the code that you write. It's from the frameworks. If you use Angular, probably you will see like zone.js, instrument.js, and all these other irrelevant code. That is not what you write. It's from the framework. And what you need is this, because you want to know what are the mistakes that you make in your code. So what you need is this. But in between, there's just so many library codes and frameworks code that get in between the way. So what you get now is that in DevTools, we will hide the irrelevant stack trace. We also hide the core stack as well to let you view your author code first. Let me show you a demo on that. So now, okay, let me just clear it. So when you click on this button, what you get is that we show you that your error is happening in this app.component.ts file. Then when you expand it, it will show you that these are the stack trace, like from the app to the button. This is all your code that we are showing you. So when we hide, you see that here, we actually hide 161 frames that are from the library. That is not your code. So if you want to view them, because for some of you, you might still want to debug them. Then when you click view more, then you can see that how many libraries code that get in the way. So if you don't want them, you can hide them. So this is one of the ways that DevTools try to help you to simplify the view to let you get to your code quicker. And then when you click on it, and you set a breakpoint, click on the plus button again. So from here, what you can do, we also do the same thing. Like from here, previously you can also see a lot of frameworks and library codes, but we hide them, and we hide all of it, just show you your app component and your button component code. And then if you still want to view like the framework code, do the same thing. Check on this checkbox here, then you can get to see like all the other irrelevant code here, most likely. And not only that, here, by default, the browsers will show you what the browser sees and what the browser sees first. That means that your JavaScript file, your HTML, your final CSS file will be all show up here first. But sometimes you might want to view your TypeScript file and whatever code that you write first. So what do? You can click on this three dot. A lot of people don't realize that there's a shutting button that you can click on. Click on the three dot and click this group by author and deploy. So when you group it, DevTools will try to show you your code first. We call it author because you write it, and then you can see your source file here. And whatever thing that the browser sees, the deployed code will be showing at the bottom. So this way you can get to your code slightly quicker. And you can see that the node module and the webpack folder is grayed out because this is how DevTools sort of like detect that, hey, these are the third-party folder that you might not be interested in. So what you can do is you can also click on these three dots. If you don't want to see them, you can say hide ignore listed sources. If you click on this, what you see now is just the sources, just the file that you have. Like those third-party library files, will just hide it. So it depends on how much you want to customize the experience of this one. Okay. What happened? Okay, cool. Okay, so then now the question is, how DevTools know what to hide? Just now, we showed that node modules and the webpack folder is hidden. So how do we know we should hide the webpack folder? And next time, if there's a new library come out, maybe called RowPack or something else, how do DevTools know? Like, should we like add it in, like customize it to add every library that we think that we should hide? So not exactly. So DevTools gets this information from the source map. So what happened is that, so for example, this RxJS JavaScript file is a third-party code. So DevTools doesn't know this is a third-party code until your build tool tells us. So for example, if the build tool populate this X Google acknowledge this field, and it says it's an array, so it says that this item number 1, this line, is something that you should ignore. So then we will take that information and we'll ignore it, hide it by default, skip it, and then show you the gray folder just now. So this is how we get the information. But to do that, the framework needs to tell us what to do. And the good news is, if you are using Angular, Maps, or Vue, this works out of the box. For most of your web modules, they will just hide the information by default. And if you are using Vue, Rollup, and Webpack, there's a good news for you as well. You can configure it. There is an option called source map acknowledge. You can do that in the config file to set the configuration. So this is one of the example of the configuration. So for example, you can say that in this field, maybe in our folder, sometimes we will have, for older project, you will have an exec file that includes all the third-party JavaScript files. And if you think that this information, you probably don't want to see this by default within DevTools during debugging, what you can do is that you can say that for any file, including this path, just ignore it. So this is how you can set this setting for the project-wide or for your whole company use. Okay, so the good news is if you don't use DevTools, Chrome DevTools, that's fine. You can just Firefox DevTools as well. They support the same setting. So if you are using that and debug with Firefox DevTools, what you can do is that you can click on the setting and ignore the third-party script. That works as well. So you might feel a bit weird that, hey, why Firefox support X Google acknowledge there's a Google words there, right? So because we start by this X Google acknowledge is something that we call an extension, a source map extension. So it's for different companies to add in to experiment stuff. So this initially added as an experiment from the DevTools team, and the Firefox team think that this is a good thing to have, so they adopt it. So the next step is that probably we'll standardize this into no longer X_Google, will be just acknowledged because it gets adopted by all the other browsers. But this is a process that we take for the browsers to innovate. Okay, good. I did not mention React. How many of you using React? Okay. Or Vue? Okay, I know there's a hand there. Yeah. Okay. So what if your toolchain, you are not using Vue, your toolchain just doesn't support it yet? That's a good news. You can still ignore the folder manually, and that will be grayed out visually as well. Okay, so let me show you an example. So this is a Vue project. So you can see that this node modules now is being grayed out. Okay, cool. So now let me show you that. So let's say now when I debug, because this is a production code. So when I debug, I also don't want my code to jump into the Google Analytics file. So I guess a lot of you have this experience when you try to set the breakpoint to debug in your code. Suddenly it jumps to the Google Analytics files or all the other third-party analytics code, which you don't want to. So what you can do here is that you can right-click on this G tag and then say that add the whole directory to acknowledge. Just right-click and add that in. And if you have some Ajax normalize, if you call that, and you don't want to debug that as well, you can either, so this one we support either in the folder, you right click and add that to the acknowledge. We also support a file as well. So if you think that this certain file that you don't want to debug, you can right click and add the script to acknowledge as well. So it's not necessarily a folder, it can be a file as well. So once you did that, if you go and the files will be grayed out to show you visually that this file by default we will ignore it during debugging. If you click on it, then we'll okay. So supposedly, because I'm using an experiment, supposedly there will be a pop-up show up here. Interesting. Let me open. Okay. This is why I don't use Canary for for demo. Okay, so here you can see that if I click on an ignore file, it will show you something like this. This script is on the debugger ignore list. You can either remove it from the ignore list or configure it. So this is for some people like, yeah, I want to ignore it, but I don't know how to re-enable it back the next time. So if you have this worry, no worry, it will show you a warning. That bug will be fixed later, okay? Okay, so it will show you that. So you can either straight away click remove it from the ignore list, or you click configure, then it will jump to this page. So there are actually a few more things that DevTools ignore. So for example, by default, we ignore the code from the extension as well, and some non-third-party script from the source map, and there are some custom exclusion rules as well. So these two rules are where we add just now. So this is the way that DevTools detect it. And if you don't want to do it here, like you don't want to click on each of the file and do it, you can still just go to right-click the file and remove it. Okay, here, this file, and right-click, remove it from the ignore list, because just now we added, you can remove it from the ignore list, and now you can see that the files become normal color again. Okay, so the next thing is, this is another improvement that I really like. So how many of you, if you have, especially for those who use a lot of extension, maybe a lot of you see these errors before. DevTools failed to load software. Anyone? And it can be a lot of them, especially if you are using like the extension. We show you a lot of these warnings to you, but it's not something that you can fix, because the source map is not the source map, it's the extension source map. So you can say goodbye to all of this. We tidy up. So we remove these errors from DevTools now. So, but for those of the people who really want to know like what are the source map errors, you can still view it only if you open the file. So when you open like a certain file and the source map failed to load, we'll show you a warning here, tell you that it's failed to load. And then if you want to see like a summary of what are the source map files successfully load or failed to load, you can also go to this Developer Resources tab and open it to see the status or there's an error of loading it. So for those of you who still want, but for most of us, if you are not interested, it's not going to show you anymore. Okay, next, I talk about like source map, using source map to help you with that. But there are I want to talk about some of the DevTools and the ecosystem challenges in fixing the debugging experience. Source map is not perfect. And let's take a look at this example. This is a very simple example where we have two variables. We have a number variable and we have a grid variable. So for the number variable, it's a random number. For the grid variable, it's a static string. We then use these two variables to put it into the paragraph to display grid and number. So very easy. So when you compile it, using build to compile it, this is your unified code. Everything is in one long line, but because I cannot show it in a long line, so you see that multiple lines. So what happens here is that you get hello E. What is missing? The grid variable is missing. Because the build tool is smart. Like it's not that you only use one, it's a static string. So it said that, okay, let's just remove the variable and embedded that string in the text. And then for the E, because there are some calculation there, it's know that it's not supposed to remove it, then show you here. So this is a good thing for performance, but this is not a good thing for debugging. Why? Because now we missed the information, we lost the information of grid. So when you debug it, for example, if you debug it, DevTools will show you a preview of the number variable. And in the scope field here, you can see the number field as well, and you can change this value in real time to debug it. But you are not able to do it with grid because this information is no longer in the source map. So because the source map spec is an unofficial standard, so it is actually a giant Google Doc that everyone look at it. So the last time I spot a typo in this file, and then I need to ping someone in order to update it. It's not on GitHub yet. Can you imagine? It's like so many different tools generate source map, but this is actually an unofficial standard. And software spec is in version 3 since 2011. So it's 14 years, 12 years already. So, but the way that we develop is so much different now. But the software spec, actually we did not update it quite often. It's like really not often. Okay. Yeah. So here. And then the spec is very flexible. So the spec did not say that, for example, just now that case, it didn't say that for whatever variable that we optimize away, it should include the information in the source map. And then there's also a thing that, you know, this thing that everyone interprets the same article differently, the same words differently. So this is what happened with the spec. Because it did not put down exactly what is expected. So each of the build tool, we want to make the web faster. So since the spec did not mention it, we just don't include this and don't include that. And then you see that a lot of information, a lot of different build tools handle source map different way. And as the consumer, the DevTools, we have a hard time to understand, to see that, oh, what are the missing parts and how to reconstruct back the information in the browsers to help you with debugging. So the good news is, what we are doing now is that we are working with TC39, the standard bodies behind the ECMAScript, JavaScript as well, to standardize the source map. And then some of the effort is to evolving the source map, harden the spec, so to put things exactly the way that we expect to, and probably have some linter to help the build tools to have some standard format and to improve the debugging experience. And this is not something that one browser or one build tool can do it with themselves. This takes a whole ecosystem. It will probably take years to improve it as well, because we first need to agree on the spec, and then everyone start updating the build tools. And then, you know, sometimes even the build tool update, our project is not updated. So for the project that we develop, we'll forever like just dump it there and don't do anything. So it takes a few years, and build tools, browser tool, logging tool, and transpiler, like different ecosystem players to improve it. You might be surprised that probably you are not so surprised logging tools, if you use Sentry or LogRocket, something like that, they need source map as well, because they need it in order to help you to do post analysis. And they have this, they are also the core contributor on the source map spec, because this can improve their user experience of the tools. Yeah. Okay. All right. So now come to the last part of my talk. I have about 10 minutes here. Okay. So here, this is a survey form, and also my slide is there. You can join. So it's a very simple. I don't even ask for your email and anything. So you can put that in. So it's basically, I want to ask you a few feedback as I go through sharing you some of the tips. So you don't need to fill in anything now. Just fill in your names and some unique ways. So at the end of this session, I will probably give you some gifts. Like if you want like a poster, some stickers, or some unique DevTools piece, I'll give you. I will just pick a lucky winner from the list. Okay, so let's start. So this is the first tips that I want to share. You can override HTTP header with prompt DevTools. What do I mean by that? Is that, so let's say now I have this demo, and in this demo you see that nothing's load. I couldn't load the to-do list, and couldn't load the dummy list. And the first thing probably we'll go to is go to the console and see what happened, right? So here we get this access control allow origin, like this error. I guess a lot of us have this error before, and this is the error happening in the backend. So you need to change your backend code in order to allow this. But you know, sometimes backend have other priorities to develop. It's not the first thing they care about. So just find a way, mock your data or do whatever thing until they fix. So the good thing now is that you can use DevTools to mock this, to enable this. So you can go to the network panel, right click on the to-do list.json, and then you say that override header. So when you click override header, here is what you see. In the response header here, you can click add headers and paste in the access control allow origin. The best thing you can do is that you can just put a star. Of course, you shouldn't always put a star, okay? But never mind, this is just for demo. So when you refresh, okay. it's glitch. Okay, right. Okay. Interesting. It's pending. It's just slow. It's not a bug in DevTools. Okay. It's pending. Just wait. Is it coming? No. Okay. Yeah. So you see that? Yeah. Finally. You know, doing like demo is so stressful sometimes because something that you can't work 1 minute it doesn't work. Okay. So here we show you that. So wherever you see this purple dot, it means that the request is modified. So the response is modified. So in this case, to-do list loads. So of course we can do the same thing for the dummy list, dummy.json, because the dummy.json still did not load. But what you can do is even better. Every time you overwrite a file, right? What DevTools did is that we generate a .header files behind the scene, save in your local. So it says that apply to this one and change the header, add this header. So what you can do is instead of to-do.json, it supports wildcard as well. Just put an all here. Don't need to create another rows, and then you refresh it. Now you get to see these two rows. You don't need to wait for your backend. Oh, thank you. Don't need to wait for your backend in order to do that. And so this comes my first question in the survey form just now. If you haven't scanned it just now, did you know that tools could override before today? So I just want to know like how many of you know like some new DevTools feature? Huh? Okay, good. Yeah. So just fill in the form and let me know. Okay, cool. The next thing is that DevTools now in the latest release, it supports more API and the file content. So for example, this is your coffee app. So let's say you are something that the data change or the backend haven't created the data yet. You only know the contract, the model of the object, and you want to start creating some mock data in order to test your front end. You can also do that. Okay, let me refresh it here. Okay. So let's say this is my list. I have a list.json that I call. So then this is the result. So what I can do is I can right click, and then say override content. It's a bit small. Okay, I cannot zoom in that. So once you override the content, we'll create a file here called list.json. So what you can do here, you can change the espresso to double or triple espresso and change the price to triple as well. Okay, so to be honest, the espresso price is much cheaper here than Germany. Yeah, so let's refresh that, and then you get triple espresso now. Do you see that? And you can change whatever data. You can add like new field or whatever thing to help you with debugging, to help you mock your data. So this is another awesome feature that you can use in DevTools. So the second question in your form is that, did you know DevTools could mock API requests before today? Okay, the third tips that I'm going to share is to record, replay, and share. So this happens, so let me just disable the override and then show you. So this is one of the new tabs that we created. So what you can do is you can go to this three-dot menu, more tools, and open this recorder tab. So in here, if you haven't come into, is this on? So you can create a new recording here. So you don't need to fill in any of the field. Probably you give the recording a special name, order coffee. So once you do that, you can click start recording. Then you can do whatever step, and that's how you capture it. Basically, it's a recorder. You can click on the espresso, macchiato, and then you can click on this tab, fill in the name and the email, and then checkbox as well, just submit it. And once you did that, you see that DevTools actually capture every step, and you click stop. Now, what you can do is you can replay it. Of course, when you click replay, DevTools run really fast. It's like you cannot see it. So there are some options that you can debug it slowly, because you want to verify the result, right? So you can set the speed like to slow, very slow, or extremely slow. Another thing you can do is that you can set a breakpoint. So you can set a breakpoint, like for example, in this change the name step. So when you replay it, DevTools will replay until the step here, and then you can click on replay step by step. So you see that I fill in the name, and my next step is to fill in the email, and then you can see this how it plays out step by step, or just continue with it. So this is very convenient. And you know the best thing I like about this recorder type is that it doesn't need to. So by default, when you record, DevTools will refresh the whole page and then restart the things. But it doesn't have to do. Like for example, when you debug, like a multiple page form, and there's a bug in the third form, the third page, and very annoying. You need to fill in like the first 2 pages in order to go to the last page, right? What you can do is you can remove the navigate step. You can just let's say I remove this step, and then you can just add it to like replay the step from where you are. You don't need to refresh the page and start everything over again. This helps you faster when you want to debug your code. And you can also save it and then share it out. Okay, I'm running a bit out of time. So the third question is, did you know that DevTools could record and replay? And the last one, okay, what is the time now? I know that she would finish. Okay, I have a few minutes. Okay, this is the one that will trick people a lot of time. Okay, so now I ask this question. So in here, let's say you have a search box here. You know, we have a lot of search box. Let's say now there are some error happening in this drop down, the pop-up drop down here. So you want to debug it. What you will do? You will probably use this inspect, or you just right click on this inspect and inspect it. But every time you inspect, it's just gone. I think we face this, there's a lot, like every time you inspect, it's just gone, and then left you in the dark that what's happening in here. So for some really smart people, they will try to do, maybe that is happened because of the hardware. So you will search the input box here, and then you go to this sound pane, and then go to this hardware, and then you will put hardware. Okay, not working. Go to this focus, not working, and then you just press everything. Yes, so this is us not working. So turns out this drop down, this magic drop down is not based on any of this. It's based on JavaScript. Like if your page, your document is not focused, they are going to remove away the drop down, they will hide it. So this is for the user experience. Okay, so what you need to do is to put back the focus, because every time you move DevTools, you are not focused on the page anymore. So what you need to do is to put back the focus into the page even you are in DevTools. So there is a way to do it in DevTools. That feature exists maybe 10 years ago, I don't know. Press escape here. Okay, hide this first. Press escape to bring out the bottom drawer. Click on these 3 dots, and then there's this rendering tab. So from here, you scroll down, really hidden, because we are giving you the hidden feature. Oh, see, even me cannot find it. Okay. So here, there's an emulate a focus page here. So once you do this, DevTools will emulate the focus, put it back to the page. Okay. Cool. Yeah, so this is what happened. But we know that this thing is useful, but it's so far away from all of our book flow. So in the next few release, what we are planning to do is probably put it here to tell you that you can debug it with that, so that you don't need to worry about it and remember it on how to do it. All right. So the next question is that, did you know this feature before today? Okay. Good. Okay. Then the last one. Okay. This is to just escape to toggle the drawer. Probably some of you do not know there's so whenever things that get pop up from the bottom, we call it drawer. So if you press escape, you can bring up the drawer, and your what's new tab basically every time show up here. Okay. So now in the session, the question is that, is the what's new tab in DevTools helpful? Like, is it annoying that you want to close it every time? Mostly, I want to know like how do you want to learn like DevTools features, or should we remove it and put it somewhere else? So you can help me with by answering the questions. And the last question actually in the form is like, what is the biggest issue you face with DevTools? Then we can help fix it and address it in the future release. Okay, finally, this is what I heard a lot in conference. I never report any bugs to DevTools, but DevTools sometimes have bugs. I just don't report, but they will fix automatically. Unfortunately, there's no AI in DevTools. yet. Like we are just human reading your bug report. If you do not report it and you keep complaining, we cannot help you. So please let us know if there's any issue so that we can improve it to help you with debugging. All right. So let's pick a winner. And that's all. We will pick a winner. So that's all for today. Thank you. So if you want to scan, all the slide is in the form just now. It's the first thing. So you can grab it. All right. Coker, let me just pick the winner. Okay, we'll announce the winner later because it's only 6 of you filling the form. I give you some time to fill in the form, and then later maybe somewhere in the rest or something like that, we will announce the winner. Okay? So, yeah. Thank you, everyone. So I will put some sticker outside as well. The not limited edition, so you can get it from outside. For the limited edition, I will announce the winner later. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the talk. Any questions? Oh, Santosh.
Yeah. I have a few questions actually. So the first one is, you showed that authored and deployed.
Yeah.
That, right? Not to make it default. I mean, I would love to see my authored code before I see some random thing.
Okay, this is a good question. So we are thinking about making that default as well. Just not yet because we want to test to make sure that is this really what people want to see? Because, DevTools serve a lot of different users. There are some users from CMS and others as well. So for them, maybe their view is like always like the deploy view. So we are not so sure that the experience changes. So you can see that there's a cube here, it's experimental. So once we know the result, we'll enable it by default.
Thank you. Another question is on the path which you said, like we can ignore that path from by build tool.
Mm-hmm.
So do you also consider it ignore by default? Like can we do it in future, for example?
Okay, so we already doing this partially in the latest DevTools, in the latest Chrome that is not yet released. So what we did is that in the acknowledge, we add in this custom exclusion rule by default. So for node module and bower component, it's by default ignore no matter where you are.
Yeah.
So this is by default ignore. But Webpack, Git, and build tools, they have some their folder as well. Like for example, Webpack have a Webpack folder instead of the node module folder. So there are something in the Webpack folder, and we haven't found a way on how to effectively manage all these different build tools, because one day this ES build has another. Is it the tools, the DevTools should manage this, or this is something that the build tools should pass to us, for example, if they populate the acknowledge. So for the user, it's still effortless. It's just that is this something that the DevTools should do or the library owner should do. So currently we opt for the library owner to populate the field instead of DevTools doing it.
Yeah, I mean, can we just do git ignore by default because it's standard across all the technologies, right? So we know, like, okay, this needs to be ignored irrespective of what you serve.
There is this idea that we should have a .DevTools ignore in the code as well, but this is like in a very early discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you already have some.
Yeah.
And can we just like pass a JSON file? So it like takes the JSON file, reads all the paths, and then adds it into the list. I mean, that will be more convenient, right? Rather than looping over all the paths. This is for build tools, not for DevTools.
Sorry, again.
So as a build tool author, can I just pass a JSON? Like, okay, this is the JSON file. It contains all the folders which needs to be ignored, rather than actually looping over the path which you've shown.
Yes, you can. So as a library owner, that's why you can use the role of the config. You can pass the config file, but instead of a file, you need to do it in the config file now.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a way, but not exactly what you expect it now, like a custom file that all the build tool itself.
Okay, so it's still like improving.
Yeah.
Good. And the last question is we can add the ignore list from here in the browser. So is it like per session? If I close the browser, is it gone or it's still there?
Okay, it won't be gone. So like from here, so you will remember it just like your breakpoint. It will save in the sessions. But the next time that you come, so you change the code quite often. The next time you come, we will still save it, so everything will be here until you reset the browser. So imagine that is in your local storage.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, this can be scary because,
yeah.
Any other questions?
Okay, that.
Quick simple question. For the log config, is there a way like to export them so other team members can use them?
Which one?
Like for when we mock API responses?
Okay. So yes, you can do that because there's one step that I did not show is that when you say that you so it's in your sources here override. What I did not say is that you first need to if you did not set up any like overrides before, the first thing you need to do is that you need to select a folder, a local folder for the overrides. So whatever file that we create is in the locker right just now. So you can just check in this whole folder into your GitHub and then you can share it because it's a file in your locker. So yes, you can share it.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I would like to know with the latest Firefox browser for developers,
Yeah.
will we have some features that will be common? Will it emerge in the future? How will we'll have to use both? How in the future? Also will be used.
You mean the so which one the software?
No, in general, the features for debugging.
Okay. So the feature for debugging, so each browser, because the engine is different, so each of them has different theme and the code base is completely different. So for example, like Chrome and Edge share a similar code base. So you can see that some of the code that the Chrome DevTools have, Edge DevTools have as well. So that's update. But for Firefox, it's a completely different code base. So until the team develop this debugging feature in their tools, it won't be available. So it's a different effort of development. Yeah.
And okay.
Okay. But
Okay. Thank you very much again, Jecelyn.